live from the Museum of Broadcast Communications. With Chicago's newest news team, this is News Update.
Good afternoon from the NBC News Center. I'm Chuck Drebe.
And I'm Gail Jigroff, and these are the top stories at this hour.
In advance of his first diplomatic trip to the Soviet Union, President Bush began his meetings with NATO leaders today. His first stop was in England, where the president met with Queen Elizabeth, and then later held private talks with Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher. In both meetings, discussions centered around the upcoming arms negotiations with the Soviets. Mr. Bush's next stop will be in Germany tomorrow, and then Friday he will meet with Soviet Premier Mikhail Gorbachev. Of course, NBC News will provide live coverage of the president's historic trip to the Soviet Union beginning Friday morning at 7 a.m.
Today in the United States, the space shuttle Atlantis blasted off from Cape Canaveral. 5 astronauts commanded by Colonel Buzz Armstrong reported that all systems were go as the shuttle cleared the tower during liftoff. This launch, the 7th shuttle mission this year, calls for 4 days in space highlighted by the deployment of 2 communication satellites. When Commander Armstrong was asked to describe the experience of liftoff, he said that it was a little better than taking a ride on Space Mountain at Disney World. The shuttle is scheduled to return to Andrews Air Force Base Tuesday morning at 8.
In other national news, there was another oil spill on East Coast yesterday. A Brazilian tanker ran aground while off the coast of New Jersey, spilling over 1,000 barrels of oil. Beaches were immediately closed, and at this point, the cleanup is expected to take 2 weeks. A company spokesman said today that the oil company will accept full responsibility and take whatever measures are necessary to clean up the affected areas. The Coast Guard has not filed any charges against the tanker captain, pending an investigation.
And here in Chicago, Mayor Daley began his annual neighborhood cleanup campaign on the city's west side. Speaking before a group of area residents, the mayor explained the purpose of the program.
We should all have pride in our city, and everybody, it's up to everybody. The city would do their job, but most importantly, we have to have the people to do their job as well. Everybody has to work together.
About 50 volunteers joined the mayor in clearing vacant lots, streets, and sidewalks. All the equipment for the project was provided by the city's Department of Streets and Sanitation. The program, in its second year, will be scheduled in all the city's wards. If you'd like further information or would like to volunteer, please contact the mayor's Office of Special Events.
When we return, we'll have more local news, plus a report on the heavy rains that have caused extensive flooding in the southeast.
And now Kraft proudly presents Velveeta versus Cheddar in another cooking performance.
Velveeta melts smooth,
the cheddar runs.
Velveeta cooks good,
the cheddar clumps.
Velveeta the blend that cooks better, 'cause Velveeta melts better
than cheddar.
Yes, for smoother melting. For your good cooking, no single cheese cooks like Velveeta.
McGruff here. See that guy? He's stealing that bike. Now, see that lady? She's calling the cops. Mimi Marth, part of the Eyes and Ears Patrol in Hartford, Connecticut. There's 126 of them, regular people, working together to help prevent crime. You know, you could do that. Find out how. Write to Box 6600, Rockville, Maryland. You'll be helping to take a bite out of crime.
If you were driving into the city today from the western suburbs, you probably experienced some long delays as the much publicized construction project began on the Eisenhower Expressway. Traffic delays seem to be running about 45 minutes longer this morning due to the construction work. The Illinois Department of Transportation has suggested that alternative routes be used for the next 3 months. The Chicago Transit Authority has added additional trains and buses to its western routes to try to help with the commuting problems. Unfortunately, Chicago's traffic woes will not end with the construction project. Governor Jim Thompson announced today a major new construction program for all area toll roads that will begin next year.
Be a great city when they finish it. In other local news, a two-alarm fire broke out early this morning on the city's south side. Firefighters from 3 companies responded to the blaze that quickly engulfed this 4-story apartment building. The fire was reported by a neighbor who called 911 after seeing flames from the back of the building. Fortunately, none of the residents was injured, though 2 people were taken to area hospitals and then released. Firefighters said that the installation of smoke detectors was the primary reason no lives were lost. At this time, fire inspectors believed that a faulty heating system was the cause of the blaze.
Now, turning to a continuing national story from down my way. For the 5th day in a row, both North and South Carolina have been hit by heavy rains. Flooding has been reported in wide areas of both states, with the hardest hit communities being the North Carolina towns of Gurnee and Hampton. The National Guard has been called out to assist the evacuation of people from the stricken town. The governors of both states have asked for federal assistance, and a special relief fund is now being set up by the Red Cross. So far, the damage has been estimated at over $400 million, and that's just in North Carolina.
Pretty bad. While the southeast gets all the rain, we continue to be dry. Let's find out if we can expect any changes in our weather picture from our own master forecaster, Tom Skilling. Tom?
Well, thank you very much. If you look at the upper level winds, you see why we're going to turn cool here in Chicago, because those jet stream winds are blowing in from the north and expected to do that for the foreseeable future. Low pressure around here could mean some rain next week, but look at the clearing up to the north. This is a big Canadian high pressure, and its frontal system thunderstorms are moving away from Chicago, not expected to come this way. We even saw a big hole open up in the clouds up by Milwaukee today, so tomorrow should be lovely, with winds blowing right in off Lake Michigan, and that will keep it kind of cool around this area. Well, that's a check of our weather for now. I'm Tom Skilling, and back to Chicago's newest and best news team.
Thanks, Tom. The lucky winners from last week's $25 million lotto came forward today. Mr. and Mrs. Crampton from downstate Carbondale declared that they would have to sit a spell to figure out what to do with all that money. When we asked the couple what they would give their 11 children, Mrs. Crampton teased reporters when she said that each child would get $1 so they could win their own million.
Real generous. Anyway, now in sports, I'm happy to report that both the Cubs and the Sox are continuing their winning streak. Yesterday, 32,000 fans showed up at Wrigley Field, where the Cubs defeated the San Diego Padres 5-3. Ryan Sandberg started the scoring with his 20th HR of the season.
There's a drive into left field. Way back it might be. It is! Holy cow!
In other National League action, the Phillies beat Cincinnati Reds by 1 run. The Giants broke their losing streak by overcoming the Pirates in 12 innings. The Expos have got past the Braves as usual, and the St. Louis Cardinals won a squeaker over the LA Dodgers 3-2.
Meanwhile, on the south side, the Sox won their 7th in a row as they blasted the Cleveland Indians 8-2. Carlton Fisk continued his hitting streak, going 4 for 4 with 2 home runs. I don't have any idea what that means. In other American League games, the Yankees beat the Detroit Tigers 5-1. Kansas City outlasted the Angels 14-12, and the Orioles lost their 4th in a row as they fell to Toronto 5-4.
It's getting cooler, maybe, and it's time for football. The Bears held a light workout this morning at Hallis Hall as they prepare for their season opener. The quarterback controversy continues today as Coach Ditka prefers to wait and see before picking his number 1 quarterback. Coach Ditka did say in a burst of utter brilliance that competition is good for the boys. An announcement is expected next Friday, maybe.
In other sports notes, this is really a sports town, isn't it?
Yes.
The Bulls and the Blackhawks begin their rookie camps this week. Both clubs are coming off exciting playoff action from last season, and maybe this year could be their championship year. We'll have a series of special reports on the Bulls and the Blackhawks tonight at 10 on NBC Sports Edition.
And you'll watch every minute of it, won't you,
I sure will.
And finally, there's this unusual story of love. Old Marvin Fletcher met Belinda Scott at the Rollerdrome when they were both in high school. They dated, but eventually broke up. Now, 15 years later, they met again at the same roller rink and fell in love. So I'm happy to announce today that the couple rolled out before family and friends to exchange their vows. We asked the bride what the secret to the relationship was, and she said, "You have to remember, everything in life that goes around comes around." How original.
Well, that's the news at this hour. Stay tuned to NBC News for coverage of all the day's events. I'm Gail Dubroff.
I'm Chuck Dreby, and you've been watching News Update from NBC News Center.
Good night. Good news.
This has been a presentation of the Museum of Broadcast Communications.